Before we talk about English, I want to ask you something very honest, not something people usually say out loud. When was the last time you actually wanted to speak English, but didn't? Not because you had nothing to say, but because something inside you quietly said, better not. That moment, right there, that's where everything begins.
Honestly, it happens almost every day. In meetings, in casual conversations, even when I'm alone practicing, sometimes I stop myself. It's like my brain puts its hand over my mouth.
Most people think that hand is lack of vocabulary, or bad grammar, or a bad accent. But that's not the hand. That's just the excuse your brain gives you.
Then what is it really?
It's an invisible wall. And the reason it's so powerful is because you don't even know when it was built.
An invisible wall?
Yes, a psychological wall between who you are in your native language and who you feel you become in English. In your language, you are sharp, you are funny, you are respected. You know how to defend yourself. You know how to sound intelligent. But in English, you feel smaller, slower, less you.
That's painfully accurate.
And here's the part nobody likes to admit. You're not afraid of English. You're afraid of becoming a lower version of yourself in front of other people.
So it's not about the language at all.
Exactly. It's about identity. Every time you speak English, your brain asks one question. Will this make me look stupid? And if the answer is uncertain, your brain chooses silence.
That explains why I can speak much better alone than with people.
Of course, because when you're alone, there's no social risk, no judgment, no loss of status. Language learning in real life is not a classroom problem, it's a social survival problem.
But nobody teaches it like that.
Because it's uncomfortable, because it forces people to admit something deeper. That learning English is not about memorizing words, it's about negotiating your ego.
Ego sounds like a bad thing.
Not at all. Your ego is just your self-image, the version of you that wants to be seen as competent. And here's the trap. The more intelligent you are, the harder English becomes.
That sounds backwards.
It's not. Smart learners overthink. They analyze every sentence. They hear their own mistakes in real time. They compare themselves constantly. So instead of speaking freely, they monitor themselves into silence.
So the people who care the most suffer the most.
Yes, and that's why this problem is so common, yet almost never talked about honestly. Most advice online says, just practice more. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Confidence will come. But that advice ignores one brutal reality.
Which is?
You cannot just be confident when speaking threatens how you see yourself. Confidence doesn't disappear randomly. It disappears when the cost feels too high.
The cost of sounding dumb.
The cost of losing face, the cost of being judged, the cost of feeling inferior even for a moment. Your brain weighs that cost instantly, and most of the time, it decides it's not worth it.
So silence feels safer than progress.
Exactly. And once silence becomes a habit, it starts to feel like your personality. You tell yourself, I'm shy. I'm not good at speaking. I need more time. But those are stories. not truths.
Then what is the truth?
The truth is, your English is not stuck. Your self-image is. And until we talk about that wall, slowly, honestly, without lies, no amount of vocabulary will save you. Let's go deeper into something most English learners never realize. Your brain is not designed to help you speak English. It's designed to protect you. And sometimes protection looks exactly like self-sabotage.
That sounds uncomfortable already.
It should, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. When you speak your native language, your brain is relaxed. It knows the rules. It knows how people will react. It knows how to recover if something goes wrong. But when you speak English, your brain enters unfamiliar territory, and unfamiliar territory equals danger.
Danger feels like a strong word.
It feels strong because your brain treats social mistakes as threats. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by the group meant death. Today, rejection looks like embarrassment, but your brain doesn't know the difference.
So when I hesitate, that's not weakness.
No, that's your nervous system doing its job too well. Your heart rate changes, your breathing shifts, your mind narrows, and suddenly accessing English feels 10 times harder.
That explains why my mind goes blank even with simple sentences.
Exactly. It's not that the knowledge disappears, it becomes temporarily inaccessible. Stress blocks retrieval. That's basic neuroscience.
But people online say if you know it, you can say it.
That sentence has destroyed more confidence than bad teachers ever did. Knowing something intellectually and being able to access it under social pressure are two completely different skills.
So speaking is not just language.
Speaking is performance, and performance activates fear. That's why you can answer grammar questions perfectly, then fail to order coffee.
That contradiction always confused me.
Because grammar happens in safety, conversation happens in exposure, and exposure triggers something even deeper, comparison.
Comparison to native speakers?
To everyone, you compare yourself to how fluent you should be, to how fast others speak, to how confident they sound, to how you sound in your own language. And every comparison quietly says, you are behind.
That voice is exhausting.
And invisible. Most learners don't hear it consciously. They just feel tired, unmotivated, avoidant. They say, I don't feel like practicing today. But what they really mean is, I don't feel like feeling inadequate today.
That hits hard.
Here's something even more uncomfortable. The more effort you put into learning English, the more pressure you feel when speaking it.
That feels unfair.
It is, because effort creates expectations, and expectations create fear of failure. You think, I've studied for years. I should be better than this. I can't mess this up now. So every sentence carries weight.
No wonder speaking feels heavy.
Yes, and under that weight, your brain looks for escape. It says, let's wait until we're more ready. Let's listen instead. Let's stay quiet. And every time you obey that voice, the wall gets thicker.
So silence reinforces fear.
Silence trains your brain that avoidance works. You avoid speaking, nothing bad happens, your brain feels relief, and relief is addictive.
So the brain learns the wrong lesson.
Exactly. It learns not speaking keeps me safe, not speaking helps me grow.
That explains why motivation comes and goes.
Motivation is not the real issue. Safety is. Until your brain feels safe enough to speak imperfectly, motivation doesn't matter.
Then why do some people speak anyway, even with bad English?
Because they have a different relationship with mistakes. They don't see mistakes as identity damage, they see them as noise. You see mistakes as exposure, they see them as information.
So it's not talent.
No, it's tolerance. Tolerance for discomfort, tolerance for being seen unfinished, tolerance for not being respected for a moment.
That sounds scary.
It is, which is why most people avoid it. And that's why most people stay stuck for years. So, what most learners call a plateau is actually a psychological ceiling, not a language limit, a fear limit.
So breaking that ceiling means facing the fear directly.
Yes, not fighting it, not suppressing it, but understanding it. Because once you see that your brain is not broken, just overprotective, you stop blaming yourself.
And blaming myself has been my default for years.
Most learners live there. They think, I'm lazy, I'm bad at languages, I missed my chance. None of that is true.
Then what is true?
The truth is simple and uncomfortable. Your English will not improve until speaking feels emotionally survivable. And right now, for many people, it doesn't.
So the real work starts before vocabulary.
Way before. It starts with rebuilding the relationship between your voice and your sense of self. And that's almost nobody teaches. There's one word most English learners avoid, not because they don't understand it, but because it feels uncomfortable to admit. Ego.
People usually talk about ego like it's a bad thing.
That's the problem. Ego isn't arrogance. Ego is simply how you see yourself, your value, your competence, your social position. And language is deeply tied to all three.
So speaking English threatens that image.
Yes, because when you speak English, you temporarily lose power. You can't express complex thoughts. You can't defend yourself properly. You can't be as witty, as sharp, as persuasive. And your ego hates that.
That explains why I feel childish when I speak.
That feeling is shame, not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that says, this is not who I am,
Shame feels stronger than fear.
because it attacks your identity, not just your comfort. Fear says something bad might happen. Shame says something is wrong with me.
That's heavy.
And most learners carry it silently. They don't say, I'm ashamed to speak English. They say, I'm not ready yet.
That sounds harmless.
It's not. I'm not ready often means I don't want to be seen like this. Seen struggling, seen searching for words, seen as less intelligent. So waiting feels like self-respect.
Exactly. Not speaking feels like protecting your dignity.
But here's the paradox. The longer you protect that image, the longer you stay trapped behind it.
So ego becomes a cage.
Yes, a very comfortable cage. Inside it, you can tell yourself, I could speak well if I wanted to. I just need more time. I'm different from those confident people. Your ego stays intact. Your English doesn't move.
That's uncomfortable to hear.
It should be. Because the most dangerous lies are the ones that protect us. They don't hurt immediately, they delay growth quietly.
Is that why some people study for years but never speak?
Yes, they're not lazy, they're not stupid, they're protecting an identity they worked hard to build. Maybe they're successful in their career, maybe they're respected in their community, maybe they're the smart one. Speaking broken English threatens all of that.
So silence preserves status.
For now, but it also creates a split. You become two versions of yourself, the confident native language you and the hesitant English you, and the gap between them feels humiliating.
That gap makes me want to quit sometimes.
Of course, your brain hates inconsistency. It hates feeling incomplete. So it suggests the easiest solution. Avoid situations that remind you of the gap,
Like conversations.
like meetings, like calls, like introductions, like opportunities. And slowly, English becomes something you know but never live.
That sounds like wasted potential.
It is. But here's the part that really triggers people. The ones who speak the most are often the ones with the least ego to protect.
You mean people who don't care how they sound?
Yes, not because they're careless, but because they don't tie their worth to their performance. They don't think, if I sound bad, I am bad. They think, if I sound bad, I'm learning.
That mindset feels far away.
Because no one trained you for it. You were trained to perform, to be correct, to be evaluated, not to be visible while imperfect,
So, what most learners call fluency.
is actually ego flexibility, the ability to let your image bend without breaking.
And without that flexibility, speaking feels dangerous.
Yes, because every sentence feels like a test, every pause feels like exposure, every mistake feels like proof that you're not who you think you are.
That explains why people react emotionally to feedback.
Exactly. They're not reacting to English, they're reacting to a threat to their self image. That's why advice alone doesn't work.
Because advice doesn't touch ego.
Right. You can know exactly what to do and still avoid doing it because knowing doesn't dissolve shame.
So, what does?
Awareness, slow exposure, and permission to be unfinished. But before we talk about solutions, there's one more illusion we need to destroy.
Which illusion?
The belief that fluent speakers are fearless. They're not. They just made peace with being seen mid process.
So, the difference is not bravery.
It's self acceptance under pressure, and that changes everything. Let me ask you something uncomfortable again. Have you ever watched someone speak English fluently and instead of feeling motivated, you felt smaller?
All the time, especially online.
That reaction is not jealousy, it's comparison. And comparison is one of the most powerful confidence killers in language learning.
But everyone says watch natives to improve.
They're not wrong, they're incomplete. Watching fluent speakers helps your input, but it can quietly destroy your output.
How?
Because your brain doesn't just listen, it evaluates. It compares their smoothness to your hesitation, their speed to your pauses, their confidence to your doubt.
And I always lose that comparison.
Everyone does. You're comparing someone's highlight reel to your behind-the-scenes struggle.
That's unfair.
But your brain doesn't care about fairness, it cares about status. And every time you watch someone better, your brain quietly updates your position. You are below.
So motivation turns into pressure.
Exactly. At first you think, I want to speak like that. Then it shifts to, I should already speak like that. And that should is poison.
Because it creates guilt.
Yes, guilt for not being where you think you should be. And guilt kills playfulness. It kills experimentation. It kills risk-taking.
Which are all necessary for speaking.
Right. Language grows through messy output, but comparison makes mess feel unacceptable.
So watching too much can paralyze you.
Especially in the age of social media. You're not just watching fluent speakers, you're watching confident ones, polished ones, edited ones, people who rarely show hesitation.
So I start thinking fluency means never struggling.
Exactly. You start believing, if I still struggle, I'm failing. But struggle is not failure, it's evidence of growth.
That's not how it feels.
Because your reference point is distorted. You don't see their early stages, you don't see their mistakes, you don't see their awkward years, you only see the finished product.
So I'm chasing an illusion.
Yes, and the illusion is dangerous because it feels achievable, but never now, always later.
That makes me postpone speaking.
Postponement is the silent killer. I'll speak when I'm more fluent. I'll speak when I'm more confident. I'll speak when I'm ready. But ready never comes because readiness is built by speaking.
So watching becomes a substitute for action.
Yes, it feels productive. It feels safe. It feels like progress, but it trains you to stay passive.
That explains why I consume so much content but speak so little.
And here's another uncomfortable truth. The more fluent the person you watch, the harder it becomes to start speaking yourself.
Why?
Because the gap feels too big. Your brain says, why even try? I'm nowhere near that level. So instead of inspiring you, fluency intimidates you.
That's exactly how it feels.
Which is why many learners secretly prefer watching intermediate speakers. They feel closer, more reachable, less threatening.
That makes sense.
But nobody talks about it because we glorify perfection. We think higher is always better, but psychologically, too high too soon creates avoidance.
So what should learners do? Stop watching fluent speakers?
No, they should stop measuring themselves against them. Use fluent speakers for input. Use imperfect speakers for courage.
That's a powerful distinction.
Because courage doesn't come from watching perfection. It comes from seeing someone like you speak anyway.
So relatability matters more than excellence.
In the beginning, yes. Later, excellence pulls you up. But early on, excellence pushes you away.
That changes how I see learning content.
Good, because if your content consumption makes you feel smaller, it's not helping you.
So the question is not, is this good English?
The question is, does this make me want to open my mouth?
And most content doesn't.
Exactly, which is why so many learners feel informed but silent.
So comparison doesn't just hurt confidence.
It quietly trains you to stay a spectator, and spectators don't become speakers.
So what breaks that pattern?
Before we answer that, we need to talk about something even more uncomfortable. The moment when you almost speak and then stop yourself.
That moment happens all the time.
And in the next part, we're going to dissect that moment second by second, because that's where real change begins. Let's slow everything down. Because change doesn't happen in years, it happens in seconds. There is one specific moment where your English either moves forward or stays exactly where it is.
You mean that split second before I speak?
Yes. That moment is so fast you usually miss it, but inside your brain, a whole conversation happens there.
It never feels like a conversation. It feels like a wall.
That wall is built out of thoughts. They don't arrive as full sentences. They arrive as sensations, tightness, heat, pressure.
Like my chest closes.
Exactly. And then come the micro thoughts. What if I say it wrong? What if they don't understand? What if they think I'm stupid? All of this happens in less than a second.
And by the time I notice it, I've already decided not to speak.
Because your brain has already made the calculation. Risk versus safety. And safety usually wins.
So I'm not consciously choosing silence.
No, silence is chosen for you by a system that values survival over growth.
That makes it feel less like a personal failure.
It is not a failure, it's a habit, and habits are predictable. What exactly is your brain predicting?
It's predicting emotional pain, not physical pain, social pain, embarrassment, judgment, loss of respect, even when none of that actually happens.
Yes, your brain doesn't need evidence, it needs possibility. If something could hurt your image, your brain assumes it will,
So it shuts me down early.
early and efficiently, because from its perspective, every avoided mistake is a victory.
But that victory costs me progress.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more subtle. After you stay silent, your brain rewards you
Rewards me.
with relief. The tension drops, your body relaxes. You think, good, that's over. And your brain learns silence equals safety.
So it reinforces the habit.
Yes. Every time you don't speak, You train your brain to avoid speaking next time. Not because English is hard, but because silence feels good in the short term.
That's dangerous.
It is, because short-term relief creates long-term fear.
So, how do I interrupt that second?
First, you have to see it. Most learners don't even notice the moment. They just feel not in the mood to speak. But mood is a story. The moment is real.
What should I notice exactly?
The body signal, the tension, the pause, the urge to wait. That's your cue.
And then what?
Then you do something counterintuitive. You don't aim to speak well. You aim to speak small.
Small.
Yes. One word, one phrase, one imperfect sound. Not to communicate perfectly, but to break the avoidance loop.
So the goal is not expression.
The goal is action. Action retrains the brain.
But what if it comes out wrong?
Then something powerful happens. Nothing. You survive.
That's it?
That's everything. Your brain expects disaster. Reality gives you survival. And that gap rewires fear.
So confidence is learned through exposure.
Yes, very small exposure, repeated often. Not heroic speeches, not perfect sentences.
Just proof that I can survive speaking.
Exactly. Fluency grows from survivability, not from brilliance.
That reframes everything.
Good. Because once you stop asking, did I sound good? And start asking, did I speak at all? Progress becomes possible.
But I still worry people will judge me.
Of course. And that brings us to the next illusion that keeps learners silent. The belief that everyone is listening closely.
They're not?
Not the way you think. And in the next part, we're going to destroy that fear completely. There's one belief that silently controls your behavior every time you speak English. You rarely say it out loud, but it sits in the background of your mind. Everyone is listening.
It feels true.
It feels true because your brain is egocentric, not in a selfish way, in a survival way. Your brain assumes you are the center of attention because from your perspective, you are.
So I exaggerate how much people notice me.
Massively. This is called the spotlight effect, and it ruins more English conversations than bad grammar ever could.
Spotlight effect?
Yes, you feel like there's a spotlight on you, on your accent, on your pauses, on your mistakes. But the truth is uncomfortable in a different way.
Which is.
Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to analyze your English.
That's hard to believe in the moment.
Because fear lies convincingly. When you speak, your attention turns inward. You hear every mistake, every hesitation. But other people, they're thinking, what should I say next? How do I look? Do I sound okay?
So they're in their own head.
Completely. The irony is brutal. Everyone feels judged. No one is actually judging.
Then why does embarrassment feel so real?
Because embarrassment is imagined rejection. Your brain simulates a negative future and reacts as if it already happened.
Even if nobody reacts badly?
Especially then, silence from others is often interpreted as judgment, but silence usually means they're listening or they didn't notice.
So my interpretation creates the pain.
Yes. And here's something most learners never consider. When you make a mistake in English, other people usually feel relief.
Relief?
Yes, because your mistake gives them permission to relax. It humanizes you. It lowers pressure. It makes the conversation easier.
That's the opposite of what I expect.
Most people are not evaluating your performance. They're responding to your energy. If you're tense, they feel tense. If you're relaxed, they relax.
So confidence is contagious.
So is tension. And tension often comes from trying to sound perfect.
So perfection actually hurts connection.
Yes, people connect to clarity, not correctness.
That explains why I understand broken English sometimes.
Exactly. You don't need perfect grammar to be understood. You need intention.
Then why do learners obsess over mistakes?
Because mistakes feel personal. But to listeners, mistakes are usually invisible. They hear meaning, not structure.
So my inner critic is louder than any external one.
Much louder. And the more you listen to it, the more real it feels.
How do I quiet it?
You don't silence it, you outgrow it by collecting evidence.
Evidence of what?
Evidence that nothing terrible happens when you speak imperfectly. Each time you speak and survive, the spotlight dims.
So fear shrinks through repetition.
Yes, not through thinking, through experience.
That means I can't think my way into confidence.
No, you have to act your way into it.
That's uncomfortable.
Growth always is. Comfort maintains, discomfort transforms.
So what should I focus on during conversations?
Focus outward on meaning, on connection, on curiosity. The moment your attention leaves yourself, fear loses power.
That feels freeing.
Because it is. And once you stop imagining an audience, speaking becomes lighter.
But I still feel pressure to improve.
Of course. And that pressure often leads to another trap, practicing too safely.
What do you mean by that?
That's what we're going to unpack next, because safe practice can keep you stuck forever. Most English learners believe they are practicing, but what they are really doing is hiding. Hiding inside activities that feel productive, but demand nothing from their courage.
You mean things like watching videos, doing exercises, repeating sentences?
Exactly. Those activities are not useless, but they are safe. And safety is the problem.
That's confusing. Practice is supposed to help.
Practice helps only if it challenges the thing that's holding you back. And what's holding you back is not knowledge, it's fear.
So practicing without fear doesn't change anything.
It improves understanding, but it doesn't improve speaking. Because speaking is not a knowledge skill, it's a pressure skill.
Pressure skill?
Yes, you don't speak English in silence. You speak it with eyes on you, time passing, people waiting. That pressure changes everything.
And safe practice removes that pressure.
Completely. You can pause, rewind, edit, correct yourself endlessly. Your ego stays untouched.
So I feel good, but nothing changes.
Exactly. You mistake comfort for progress.
So what should real practice feel like?
Uncomfortable. Not overwhelming, but slightly risky. Enough that your heart rate increases a little. Enough that you care how it goes.
That sounds like real conversations.
Because it is. The growth zone is not about difficulty, it's about exposure.
Then why do people avoid it so much?
Because the ego is clever. It says, let's practice more first. Let's prepare better. Let's wait until we're confident. Preparation feels responsible. Avoidance feels justified.
So I delay without realizing it.
Yes, and here's the uncomfortable pattern. The more intelligent you are, the better you are at designing safe practice.
Because I can always find something to study.
Exactly. There's infinite content, infinite methods, infinite resources, so you never run out of reasons not to speak.
That explains why some learners never leave preparation mode.
They become professional learners, not speakers.
So, how do I know if something is growth or safety?
Ask one question. Can I fail socially here?
That's a scary question.
It's also an honest one. If the answer is no, you're in the comfort zone. If the answer is yes, you're in the growth zone.
So, even small social risks matter.
They matter the most. Speaking one sentence in a meeting, asking one follow-up question, clarifying one misunderstanding. These moments look small, but they rewire fear.
Because my brain learns I can survive them.
Yes, and once survival is proven, fluency follows.
But what about making mistakes repeatedly? Doesn't that reinforce bad habits?
No, silence reinforces fear. Mistakes reinforce learning.
So, mistakes are not the enemy.
Avoidance is. And here's the final trap of safe practice. It gives you the illusion of control
Control over what?
over how you're perceived. In safe practice, no one sees you struggle. No one hears your accent. No one witnesses your pauses. Your image stays clean.
But real growth requires being seen.
Yes, growth is public, even if the audience is small.
Which is why most people stay stuck.
Not because they can't improve, but because they won't tolerate discomfort.
So the real question is not how do I learn English?
The real question is, how much discomfort am I willing to allow? And most learners never ask that.
That question alone changes things.
It should, because once you accept discomfort as part of the process, you stop fighting it. You stop waiting for confidence. You act without it.
And confidence comes later.
Always later, never before.
So safe practice is not useless.
It has a role, But if it becomes your main strategy, it becomes your prison.
So, what's the balance?
Use safe practice to prepare your tools. Use risky practice to train your courage. Without courage, tools don't matter.
That reframes everything I've been doing.
Good, because in the final part, we're going to bring everything together, not with motivation, not with hacks, but with a shift that decides whether you stay silent or finally speak. By now, you probably realize something uncomfortable. Your problem was never English. Not your memory, not your grammar, not your accent. It was a series of tiny decisions you made every day. Decisions so small you didn't even notice them. The decision to stay quiet, the decision to wait, the decision to protect your image.
So I didn't fail English, I avoided it.
Yes, and avoidance is seductive because it feels smart, it feels mature, it feels safe, but it quietly steals your future.
That's hard to accept.
It is, because accepting it means one thing. You can't blame anything anymore.
Not my teachers, not my age, not my environment.
Exactly. And that's scary, but it's also empowering. Because if silence was a choice, speaking can be a choice too.
Even when I'm afraid?
Especially then. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that fear no longer makes your decisions.
So, the real shift is not technique.
No, it's identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is learning English and start seeing yourself as someone who speaks English imperfectly.
That feels like a big leap.
It's not a leap, it's a sentence. The sentence you tell yourself before you open your mouth.
What sentence?
This is allowed. I am allowed to pause. I am allowed to search for words. I am allowed to sound awkward. I am allowed to be unfinished.
That sounds simple.
Simple, not easy, because your old identity will fight back.
What does that fight look like?
It sounds like, this isn't the right moment. Let someone else speak. I'll talk next time. And next time becomes never.
So, the real work is catching that voice.
Yes, not to silence it, but to override it, to speak anyway.
Even if it's messy.
Especially if it's messy. Messy speech is movement. Silence is stagnation.
What if people judge me?
Some will, most won't, and none of them live your life. But here's the truth most people never tell you. People don't respect perfect English. They respect presence.
Presence?
Showing up, engaging, trying. That signals confidence more than flawless grammar ever could.
So, speaking badly is still speaking.
Yes, and speaking badly beats speaking never, every single time.
That reframes success.
Success is no longer, did I sound fluent? Success becomes, did I choose to speak when it was uncomfortable?
And that's a decision I can make every day.
Exactly. Not once, not dramatically, quietly, repeatedly.
So, fluency is built by accumulation.
Yes, small moments of courage stacked over time. No hacks, no shortcuts, no lies.
That's not what most channels teach.
Because honesty doesn't sell dreams, it sells responsibility. and responsibility is heavy.
But it's real.
And real change only comes from reality. If you've listened this far, it means something inside you already knows this.
Knows what?
That waiting hasn't worked. That preparation hasn't saved you. That silence hasn't protected you. It's only delayed you.
So the next time I hesitate,
You don't ask, "Am I ready?" You ask, "Am I willing?"
willing to feel uncomfortable,
Willing to be seen. Willing to grow in public.
that's a hard standard.
It is, but it's the only one that works.
So if someone is listening right now,
And they feel exposed or called out or slightly uncomfortable, that's not a bad sign.
that's recognition.
Yes, and recognition is the beginning of change.
So what should they do next?
One thing. The next time they have a chance to speak, they take it. Not perfectly, not confidently, but honestly.
And that's how everything shifts.
Slowly, quietly, irreversibly.
If this conversation made you rethink your English,
Leave a comment and say what part hit you the hardest.
like the video if you want more honest conversations like this.
Subscribe if you're done with sugar-coated advice and ready for real progress.